Mini, 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 mini,
Minisode!
mini. Hi,
Hey.
it's Brendan.
Ding, ding, ding. I mean, actually, ding, 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 ding,
Have
ding,
faith.
ding, 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 ding. Bing,
I
ding,
guess it
ding.
wasn't right.
Minisode!
Oh,
Minisode!
I thought you were going into when I could
Faith
touch your
by George
body.
Michael? No,
I
I was
know
doing
not
this.
everybody
Going
got a body
for
like you.
Mission Impossible thing because at the end of last week's episode,
Yes.
didn't give a hint.
Mm-mm.
So, dear listener, your mission, should you choose to accept it, will be to decipher and figure out what next week's episode will be about before we reveal it at the end of this minisode.
Right, because I'm gonna drop the hint ski at the beginning.
Right now.
Right this second. At this moment in time. Here we go. Okay. So, your mission, should you choose to accept it, and you will, is figure out what this movie is from this hint in about 20, 30 minutes. Because I don't know how long this show's going to be. Okay. Save a horse. Write a comic. That's it.
Here we go. Okay.
So get that in your brains and figure that out. And, don't figure it out while you're listening to the podcast. Like, don't be rude. Just, listen to us, okay?
Yeah, then before we do the reveal, just pause it and then put the, hints together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't want to have to call on you in class, if we notice you not paying attention.
Yeah.
It's just, it's awkward. We had a lot of comments about Suicide Squad.
A few, yeah.
I think we have enough we could probably fill this episode with. So, a lot of them are quick. Not many are glowing about the movie.
Some of them are radioactive, though.
Yes. Up an atom with these comments.
Up and at them.
Up an atom.
Up and at them.
Up an atom.
Up and at them.
Better. Stealing bits. So I guess I'll start this out.
Okay.
With some comments we've received about Suicide Squad. So the Death by Film podcast at Death by Film Pod referred to it as Hot Topic the movie.
It's not an unfair accusation.
Especially when it comes to the Joker.
And Harley Quinn.
Yeah, to be fair. To be fair. Yeah. Let's keep going.
Z Kitty podcast, the Zombie Kitty podcast. Honestly, I enjoyed it as a so bad it's good film. Yes, it has a shit ton of problems, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Leto's Joker can fuck off, though.
Yeah, it true. Leto's Joker can fuck off. But I would say I probably disliked this movie more than you did.
Yeah, it goes without saying.
Well, it made me Nick Furious. So
yes, it did, and I said it required no poor judgment night to watch.
That's right. I'm gonna group these together because it's from the same person.
Okay.
But Steve over at Everything I Learned from Movies at EILF Movies said Slipknot is my favorite.
Because he's Canadian, and Canadians are awesome.
I'm assuming he's being facetious. But then he said, somebody asked me once if I'd rather watch this again or Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, and after careful consideration, I blocked them on Twitter and continued watching Congo.
Oh, another animal exploitation movie. He gets that from his wife,
Oh, Congo. I just remember watching Congo when, it came out in 95, so yeah, I would have been the right age where I thought, oh, cool, it's like Jurassic Park.
But with gorillas.
Not even fucking close.
Yeah. Well, Francesca, there's no ads or anything here, just Francesca.
Just someone named Francesca on Twitter,
okay.
I think.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Just like Cher or Madonna. My favorite DC flick. Horrible villain, but some of the best casting of any of the superhero movies. I will say that a fair point of the casting in this movie was on point.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with the casting per se. I just think the writing did not serve them.
Yeah.
Again, except for Jared Leto, who I thought was terrible.
Yes.
And again, I'm not saying him as an actor because I haven't, like you mentioned other things he was in that I haven't seen, but I will say that Joel Kinnaman was, I mean, his character didn't help, but I thought he was kind of dull.
But that's the thing, man. He is a good actor, and I feel that when he gets movies, and he doesn't get the opportunity to deliver. Like if you check him out in The Killing, he's got some good character stuff that he's doing. He's making some interesting choices with the acting that he's doing in that series. I like him as this, like, that noir cop detective thing that he's doing on Altered Carbon. But anytime he gets into a movie, he gets into, like, just these absolute turds, and I feel so bad for the guy. I don't feel so bad for him. Like, I mean, sure he made a shit ton of money off of both this and RoboCop, but I feel bad that it's not helping his career in any real way, just helping his bank accounts.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I don't know how well the RoboCop remake did in theaters, but this movie made bank, like huge bank. So
yeah, it did.
All right, this is from the Besotted Geek podcast.
Oh, when you do this, make sure you speak in cursive.
What?
Well, let me give you. Actually, I'll read it I'll give you an example of speaking in cursive.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay. I only saw this movie once, but would watch it again. Didn't like the villain or the god aspects of the Diablo. Well cast, too big a challenge for the squad. I can see them doing the rescue Waller mission while the jail take on other crap. Underused Croc and Boomerang, misused Enchantress.
Okay.
It's not slurring your words, it's speaking in cursive, and it's fucking elegant.
Gotcha.
But you can read that. I'm just making fun.
Well, I mean, you just read it, so we can. So he said he didn't like the villain. Too big a challenge for. And that's actually raises some good points. Is that the Justice League should be doing the superhero shit?
Well, let me get into this because I wanted to do this last week when we did the show or the movie proper, but we had a bit of a timetable issue, so I'm putting it off this week. So to speak to what the Besotted Geeks had to say here, I saw somebody do a review of this movie where they felt that this could have been done better if they had just almost essentially torn down this movie and redone it. Take out the Enchantress and her brother and all that stuff and make the Joker the bad guy. Okay? Something so simple as that the Joker is the main villain, wreaking havoc as the Joker does. They get the Suicide Squad to go after him because Batman is off Batmaning and the Justice League is taking care of something else. They send them in to try to stop the Joker, and you have not only him being the clear villain, one villain, easy to kind of process. You have the group who's trying to stop him. Harley Quinn, of course, is conflicted because she is on the team who is trying to stop him, but she's also kind of running interference to stop them from stopping him. And I feel that would have been a better movie, and I'm 100% on board with that if that had been the movie. Because nobody I can think of gave a shit about the Enchantress, let alone knew who she was when this movie hit the theater, as far as like your average casual moviegoer.
And everybody cares even less now because we took Cara Delevingne down a peg.
Chris Doyle
He's
here
just having a bad day.
He noted that it is the only DC movie I've enjoyed.
I actually took him to task on this. I responded and I was like, Wonder Woman? And he said, I stand by my statement.
Well, I liked Wonder Woman quite a bit, actually.
I think Wonder Woman is great, but I wish they had changed out the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I like I enjoy the emotional thing between her and Chris Pine is fantastic and it's well done. I think the final fight is bad.
Okay, yeah.
It's too Zack Snydery. It's too it's like, here's, you got Wonder Woman and she's fighting, she's strong, she's powerful, and then they're like, yeah, it's because she's a god. Oh, okay. It kind of goes against like everything we just watched.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I love the movie though. Like I thought it was really good. Just like the final fight was a little too CGI-tastic for me for that kind of movie. It works for like Infinity War, where that's kind of like you're expecting that, and there's like a lot. Everybody has like crazy powers and shit. Like I get it, but I don't know. Wonder Woman just felt a bit out of place.
Oh, yeah, it does, because it's one of the. As far as I'm concerned, so far it's the only legitimately good DC movie that they've done.
Yeah, well, and we're
it's not the only enjoyable one. Like obviously, I derived some enjoyment out of Suicide Squad, and I actually did derive some enjoyment out of Justice League, as little as that was able to be had. But it's as out of those movies, it's the only objectively good one that's been done.
Well, and I will say that we should note to the people listening, we're talking about like the DCEU, like Man of Steel to now, not like other DC movies, because there's been other good DC movies before that, namely made by Christopher Nolan.
Tim Burton Batman movies were good.
Yeah, I like Tim Burton's first two Batman.
Richard Donner's Superman.
Yeah, exactly. Richard Donner, I would say the first and second Superman were good.
Yeah.
Don't go past that, guys. Although,
what are you saying?
Although I think I mentioned this
Richard
before.
Pryor.
Although I mentioned this before, but controversially, I also kind of liked Superman Returns. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll just say I thought it was
all right.
good. Yeah.
I felt it a little bloated.
It was a little long, but I feel like people gave it more shit than it deserved.
Okay.
Better than Suicide Squad.
Well.
This is from Danny. He says the soundtrack really helped kill it. They obviously went the Guardians route of big 70s/80s songs.
/90s/2000s.
Yeah. But Guardians are a fun group of guys. These are sadistic contract killers. A deep, scary orchestra soundtrack would have punched up scenes better. Yeah, I think we mentioned the soundtrack as like a Spotify playlist.
I get that a scary orchestra might have done it, but I think that might have also been a hindrance to the movie. It might have made it seem a little bit more generic, because there's nothing popping out at you in the movie, right?
Right, exactly.
It's like when they did the Eminem track, and like for me, I was like, oh hey, it's Eminem, and then it gave me pause to think, oh, that was the video where he was dressed up like Robin, driving around in the Batmobile with Dr. Dre as Batman.
Yeah. And
this is happening in a DC movie, so.
I also just found like that Eminem song was so distracting from what was going on screen. Like it's again, music is supposed to enhance the experience, not take away from it or tell you exactly what you should be feeling.
Yeah.
Like it's just whoever did the soundtrack and chose where to put it, it did a terrible job.
I don't know why Seven Nation Army was in there at one point by the White Stripes.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
And well, that's it. Like, I remember that more than I remember the scene that it was for.
Well, that should tell you right there.
Yeah, to your point, that it detracts from the movie more than adding to it. Game It All. Those hacks.
Wow, yeah. Let's just trash sponsors on the show.
Trash sponsors. I got blackout drunk on this movie, so I don't remember much. I seem to remember not hating Will Smith and Margot Robbie. How could you? Margot Robbie, man. Like, just so fine in this movie. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. But it's coming to Netflix later this month, so it might be time to rewatch it.
Nope.
Just listen to our podcast, and you'll be like, okay, nope, I was right to only remember those two things.
Also, I will say that last week when we did Suicide Squad last week, just a heads up, if anybody hasn't listened yet, it is not in order of the movie. We tried, we really tried,
but the movie's such a mess. Why should our podcast be linear?
We had to go back and be like, oh yeah, because we forgot to tell you about this. Oh yeah, and this. Because there's so
much stuff going on, and they glance over so many things. It's like, oh, she was kidnapped. Oh, now she has a tentacle monster around her head. Well, I guess we're going to fight we're going to the bar scene. Okay, it's like, the fuck is going on?
Wait, Will Smith is Kaiser Soze. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. It was Tanya Harding all along.
That would be great. I would love that. This is from the sci-fi double feature. Wait, No, this is not. This is from the Sudden Double
Dark.
Deep.
Yeah.
Sudden Double Deep film podcast. They said one of the worst examples of a modern blockbuster, edited by committee, the most laughable iteration of the Joker, ironically, and now we're doomed to witness approximately 80 million Harley Quinns every Halloween.
I think I will get diminishing returns on that. I think eventually it'll be supplanted by some other, hot villainess type character.
Yeah, but again, I agree. Joker, not a good part.
No. Our good friend Sly said needed about 80% less Joker, a 100% better one, maybe about 20% less background stories. I give it a mediocre shrug of dismissal.
Out of...
I'm guessing out of math, because Sly is big on the math, especially the percentages. So.
I like to imagine that it was like Stallone, like, I give a mediocre shrug of dismissal.
There's too much math in this for it to be Sylvester Stallone.
Hey!
Oh, I'm a smart guy.
You get back up! You keep fighting!
I could count up to 5 in Roman numerals.
On 2 hands. This is from our good friend Jordan. He says, I thought it was a fun movie, but DC was trying to introduce things in a movie universe that's constantly in flux. That's another issue, I think, is that DC... I find, like... I don't know. Like, the actors don't... Well, no, have the actors really changed? Not really. But, like, I feel like they keep setting things up and then never delivering.
True, because it's like I said, Warner Brothers has no sense of patience with these movies.
No.
When Disney got Marvel, they were like, this is the long game. We need to sign these people to 2 or 3 movies, and we have to deliver on these movies. Some might underperform, some might overperform, but either way, if we have one that overperforms, we take that and help build up the one that may have underperformed, because we still need those characters to make our end game be what it needs to be, i.e. like Infinity War.
Well, and here's the thing, too, is that when they made Iron Man, they had no idea they were going to keep going. They made Iron Man, they said, well, let's hope this works. And because it did so well, they're like, okay, we'll make Iron Man 2. And they're like, okay, let's do Captain America. Like, it just went from there.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, now we can slowly build it because we've established that we have an audience. Whereas
now
DC,
they know that they were like, we want our franchise and we want it now.
Exactly. And they paid the price for it dearly, because Justice League did not do well.
Well, not even that. I mean, Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It's so tone deaf to what the character is about. I mean, I'm not even a big Superman guy, and I was like, it's not really much of a Superman movie, because just how like dark and broody it is, and he doesn't seem to give a shit about the people who are getting killed in all these fights.
Well, and I'm not even talking quality wise, because I think I didn't think Justice League was like completely awful, but I'm saying like financially wise, it did not do well at all.
No,
it lost the studio something like $80 million.
Yeah.
And you look at the numbers and you think, oh, there's no way. It looks like it profited huge. But think about all the money in advertising they paid for that. They paid on that movie.
See, that's the thing that always bugs me about it. That whenever they put down budget, they never say that that's factored into there, and that's stupid. Because if you want to get a good sense of how a movie did, you want the total budget. I feel
like they do that to make it look more impressive.
I guess, but at the end of it, it's a lie.
Yeah, it's a dirty lie.
Filthy lies.
What do we got next?
At Total Cult Zone.
Okay.
It's all over the place and still managed to bore me. Quite an achievement.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't actually no. I think the fact that it was all over the place was the thing that actually is what drives it to be boring. Is because you don't have a chance to sit on something and care.
But some bad movies that we've done that are all over the place, I feel like were entertaining because they were so insane.
Well, yes, because they're ineptly made. Like, to go back to that movie that Wyoming made, and, we watched that, and that's all over the place. Tonal shifts, they go from, like, one story to what's important to what's not, and it's just like, you're so bombarded by the ludicrousness of it that you can't help but have fun. It's a super forgettable movie. Like I said, I watched it that morning when we did the podcast, and I still forgot what was going on by the time we got around to recording the podcast.
It's terrible.
This one here, they were trying so hard, and because they were trying to put so much stuff into it, and stuff that it looks like you're supposed to kind of care about, it comes up flat because you're like, I don't care about any of this stuff.
I will say that it is competently made, but that's about it.
That's about all you can say about it.
Liz of the Nerdy Bitches podcast says, it could have been so much better. They missed some great opportunities. Margot Robbie and Will Smith stole the movie. As always, Amanda Waller is a C --.
Oh, I thought she was giving her a C-.
Oh, I thought she was saying the C word.
Oh. Coconut?
Yeah. As always, Amanda Waller is a coconut.
Okay.
As always, Amanda Waller is
a coconut.
A coconut. All right, what do we got next? I actually... is this one comment?
I think it's one. It's from Kev of the Fair City podcast.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's not bad, but not great. Is he Canadian? Because that is a very Canadian thing to say.
I don't know.
It's not that bad. Yeah, it's not that good either. It's not bad, but it's not great. Clearly butchered in post, yes. And feels like there's too much interference from the studio. Sounds like Monkey Bone. Sounds familiar.
It does sound like Monkey Bone.
Pretty strong cast, a number of likable characters, but let down with a by-the-numbers plot and a weak villain. Also, I'd like to see more of Leto's Joker. While I'm not a fan of how he looks, the ghetto clown, I think that what little we saw was promising enough. 6 out of 10. Now, Kev, there's a partial agreement with you here. There were a lot of characters I felt that were likable and could have been explored and let down. The ghetto clown, not a fan of the look. I agree with that. Although, again, I don't feel that we need a Joker movie like we're going to get.
Especially not with Joker. This performance. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not into it. Chris of the More Gooder Than podcast.
You mean the Better Than podcast?
More Gooder Than.
The Better Than podcast.
The More Gooder Than podcast says,
it's
a huge
podcast.
It's a More Gooder Than. I'm trying to
Better
promote
Than
their
podcast.
Show.
You've said their name like 12 times now. I think you're getting the promotion out there.
More Gooder Than.
That's and that's it's a better than the promotion you did before. It was even better than, right?
At MGT podcast. He just says, it's a huge pile of poop emoji.
And that might be why my oldest one loved it, because she loves the poop emoji for some reason.
What's next?
David says, I've seen it twice, but each time I blocked it out to cope with the trauma. I feel your pain, David.
Duty of Shaken Not Nerd podcast says, it's about a 6.5 out of 10.
Show your work. Where's your rubric?
I want to see breakdowns. This is one you'll appreciate, so go ahead.
Okay, so it's from Mackenzie.
Yeah.
And here's how to enjoy Suicide Squad. Remove Suicide Squad from the DVD player or stream. Put in Suicide Squad Assault on Arkham instead. Play Suicide Squad playlist off of Spotify while watching Assault on Arkham. Now you can enjoy a better movie with the same obnoxious music.
There you go.
It's fair because, yes, Assault on Arkham is by far the superior Suicide Squad movie.
Yep. So, Cody and David say I was bored by the messy, rushed experience and still cringe at the thought of Jared Leto's Joker to this day. And yep, we sure covered that Jared Leto is not good in this movie. What's the last one there?
Here's the thing, I don't know if that's the case. Like, there's an extended cut. I haven't seen it. There might be better stuff with his Joker going on in there.
Oh, spoiler alert, there is not.
Also, at the end of it, if the director's not seeing it, that's really more on the director, because they're supposed to be there to rein in actors who are not hitting the mark. And like Josh said in last week's episode, there were people in the special effects department who were telling the director how to make the movie.
Yeah.
So I don't feel that David Ayer was like as on point or as observant as a director as he could have been.
Which, here's the thing. I've heard about people, like, directors being like, hey, if anyone has an idea and they want to come forward with it, great. Like, no one's going to be ignored. But the thing is, the way Josh described it, it was like, hey, I got this idea, it's in a subway. And the director was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a situation where it's like, let's collaborate. If you have an idea, let me know. It was like, hey, we want this to be shot in a dark, bleak alley with this guy is alone. Actually, what if we shot it in a subway with tons of people who are running for their lives? Do it.
Yeah, there wasn't any deliberation on it.
Yeah.
It was just, we should do this. Okay. Now, we're going to need 200 burgers for lunch today.
Yeah.
But holy shit, Nathan, we got a lot on Suicide Squad.
Well, we got one more. We got one last comment from our good buddy Paul.
All right.
It says, I enjoyed myself, but I'm a very casual comic book fan, especially with DC. So I just took the movie as the movie. Also, Jared Leto is amazeballs as the Joker, and no one is convincing me otherwise.
Well,
Paul is off his meds.
I don't know what to tell you, Paul.
I'm not gonna go so far as to say amazeballs, but again, I feel it's one of those situations that, with a few tweaks, it definitely could have been serviceable.
Yeah.
You know, I think that if they'd taken a lot of the Juggalo aspect out of it, it might have helped.
Oh, an Insane Clown Posse cameo would have been great. Because they, if you want to talk about a bad movie, we could do one of their movies.
Oh, the one with the Misfits in it?
Fucking Big Money Rustlers.
Yeah.
One of those. Oof. Yeah. Just 1 second. Cleo, go lie down. Go. Fuck, stop standing over me like that. Weirdo.
If we ever get big enough, that's going to be the name of our production company.
What's that? Cleo, go lie down.
Cleo, go lay down Productions.
Yeah.
Just always trying to get in when we're trying to do something.
It's true. All right. Okay. So what do we get? Okay, so we got the movie reveal, I guess. Did I tell you what it was?
No.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So now, Nathan, now that we've talked about Suicide Squad for an additional 25-30 minutes.
Right.
Is there anything else you want to mention before we go into the movie reveal for next week?
Well, you can check out Montrose Monkington III, Esquire. He's got his own YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV. He's also got a Facebook, Montrose Monkington III, Esquire and Friends. So you can be a friend of Montrose if you definitely want to get on board with being friends with a delightful British monkey puppet. And you can also follow him on Twitter if you're so inclined, at Montrose III. That's the number 3 RD. And he chimes in from time to time. Mostly these days he's following Jen Louise from Cultaholic.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point, so Nathan, at the beginning of this episode, I said, save a horse, write a comic.
Right.
So let's take a listen to the trailer for what we're doing next week.
Don't do this, Turnbull, please.
Daddy!
Don't do this, no! This mark will remind you of the man who took everything you had. After that night, some say he was a changed man, that his spirit crossed over, giving him powers that can't be explained. Jonah Hex. Coffins. Thinking you might need a... Cut him down!
Jonah Hex.
You don't look so tough.
Hey, Hex, what happened to your face?
Cut myself shaving. What happened to yours?
Always do like when you finally show up.
Jeez, woman, how many men you see in a day?
Quentin Turnbull is...
Don't you dare say that name to me.
Quentin Turnbull surfaced about a month ago.
We want Turnbull dead.
Why didn't you just say that to begin with? Anything new, Smith?
Thought you'd never ask. I take it that means you approve. This is the future.
Future's bright. Can you shoot?
Can you?
This war begins right here! I own you now!
It ain't much for being owned.
Turnbull!
We ain't near settled our score. What's it like to go through life with a face like that? Let me show you. Still got that knife in your garter?
They took it.
Still got that derringer in your bustle?
They took it all, Jonah.
Well, searched you for darn good, didn't they?
Wouldn't you?
Yeah! Jonah Hex!
Oh my god.
Fucking hell. All 82 glorious minutes.
Well, at least it'll be toot sweet.
Yep. Josh Brolin talking to dead people, I think.
Is this our third Brolin movie?
It is.
All right.
Also, we didn't mention this, but Suicide Squad was technically, because he's in the movie, so it's technically our third Affleck movie, too.
Yeah?
So there you go. We got Affleck and Brolin are head-to-head.
It's neck and neck.
Neck and neck. But yeah, Jonah Hex next week. Is this our third comic book movie in a row? Wait, no, second.
This is second, yeah.
Well, we should keep this going. Keep this alive all summer.
Hey, it's easy too because as of late the flopbusters have been definitely more comic book leaning.
That's true.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've got something next month that is not actually. It may be based on a comic book. Oh Jesus! Well, all right. So that maybe we just change our summer theme next year to fucking comic books.
Or we could change the name of the podcast to "What Were They Inking?"
Ooh, I like it.
All right.
That means I have to read a comic book. Because I don't know how I feel about that.
No, just watch movies about it.
Oh, sweet.
There you go.
Guys, I liked in the movie when this happened. I mean, when I read it in the book. So that's coming next week. Jonah Hex next week. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. Find us on Facebook. Just search What Were They Thinking. You can also find our Facebook group, What Were They Thinking Interactive. We're on all the podcatchers, Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. We have a YouTube page, and the Al Jazeera Network. All that good
Teddy
stuff.
Ruxpin Appreciation Society.
Yeah, I like Teddy Ruxpin Expression Society.
Expression Society. It's what that is where you record all your feelings and thoughts and emotions and play them through a Teddy Ruxpin.
That's terrifying.
My existence is bleak and terrible, Grubby.
I just watched Suicide Squad. Kill me. Kill me. But yeah, I think that'll do it. Do you have any questions?
I do have a question. Just a couple, I guess. I mean, this is the second time this has kind of happened to us, really. I mean, we record a podcast about a movie, and then the next week we get nothing but exclusive questions or comments about that movie. And it happened previously with Human Centipede, and it happened again now with Suicide Squad. And if it doesn't happen this year in November with Gamera, all I have to say to our listeners is, what are you thinking?
Hi everyone, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Justine. And we make up the Cutaways podcast.
We're watching the good, the bad, and the essentials of the romantic comedy genre.
So far, we've fallen in love with Cary Grant, met up with our terrible friend, Pal Joey, and had the desire to run our fingers through Patrick Dempsey's hair.
Join our slumber party for your ears every other week brought to you in stereo from our blanket fort in Hollywood, California.
You can find and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcatcher. Our digital blanket fort can be found at thecutaways.com.
If you are the social butterfly types, you can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as @Cutaways Podcast.
Bye!
Hey everyone, it's Chris and Mike from The Recasting Couch, the podcast where we take our favorite movies and discuss what they would be like with new actors in all the lead roles. Hey Mike, tell them where they can find us on social media.
You can find our website at therecastingcouch.com or on Twitter @recastingpod. And of course, you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Android, or anywhere else you find your favorite podcasts.
Yeah, if there's a service that's not posting our pod, you let us know and we will rectify that immediately.
Damn right.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
We're happy to have you with us this evening and want you to enjoy every minute of your stay here.
Listen to me. Please listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
Are you ready to enter the sci-fi double feature drive-in? Every month we hold a special double feature with a very interesting theme thought up by your host, the conspiracy-loving Elisa, and yours truly, Jared the Kaiju Man Wegelin. We discuss giant monsters, little monsters, genetic abominations, robots gone awry, aliens coming to Earth, cryptids, and anything in between. So join us at the Sci-Fi Double Feature Drive-In podcast every first and third Thursday of the month. And don't forget to stop by our snack bar first.
Hi, I'm Jay Batts.
And I'm Michael.
And we're the hosts of a very thought-provoking show called The What If Podcast. On it, we'll explore the big
and little
what ifs of life and steer our listeners toward a better understanding of the
real or hypothetical
situations we might find ourselves in.
Or not. On our journey, we'll learn interesting facts and fictions about the everyday world. And sometimes,
most of the times,
we'll dive headlong into rabbit holes that slide up against the subject and sharply turn away from it.
Come along with us. We'll have fun and learn something new together. New episodes release every other Tuesday. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Music, and anywhere fine podcasts are archived.